Hi everybody, welcome back. A couple of you on my live streams have been asking to go into more detail on how I done my attic conversion here. So I'm going to go into that now. First off, I'm going to say a couple of things. If you're going to do something like this, make sure you've got permission to do it. You're not breaking any local regulations, anything like that. You don't need planning permission. Also, I've got a lot of friends who are builders, carpenters. I'm not a carpenter or a builder or anything. I'm doing this as a DIY project. So make sure you get plenty of information and you know exactly what you're doing before you do anything like this, because this is your roof. This is a structural part of your house. You don't want to weaken it. I've had plenty of help from friends who've come up and advised me on what to do. Other thing, safety is very important when you're doing something like this. So make sure you've got your safety glasses, ear defenders, and most importantly, when you're cutting up and working with fiberglass up here, your dust mask. And you're going to be using a lot of power tools. Don't be tempted. Take the safety guards off. They're there for a reason. They'll help protect your fingers. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some footage in now of the attic before I done any of the work here. And you can see there's low collar beams going along and there's a water tank sitting in the middle of it. So one of the first things I've done is move the water tank. So I got a plumber in to do this. I wasn't going to attempt it myself. So we got a brand new water tank. This is a 50-gallon tank, so that weighs about 33 stone, 210 kilos. So what I done is I got some gallows brackets made up. These are from 50mm angle iron. They're bolted to the wall and they're supporting the tank, and there's also additional framework. So that's there, nice and secure. It's not going to move. Now we'll have a look at the components that make up your roof. So let's look at the components of the roof. We've got our rafters. On top of that is the felt. On the other side of that are the tiles. Running under our feet are the joists. Now the joists in this are 5" by 2" joists. They could do with being a bit beefier, but for what I'm doing up here, just as a storage and a hobby room, it's fine. There's a lot of supporting walls underneath supporting the joists, so they're not running the span freely. If I was going to use this as a living space, what I would have done is taken off a couple of bottom rows of tiles, scuffed them outside and fed in thicker joists, something like 9" joists, something like that, to give more support. But I've spoken to carpenters and everything, said what I'm using it for, it's fine, especially with all the support underneath. And then going across was the collar beams. So what I done is I cut out the collar beams one at a time and then I moved them up. So you can see there the collar beams now run a bit higher, so this is creating the roof for the attic space. And I've bolted them in either side with M10 bolts, so they're nice and secure, they're not going anywhere, and they're keeping the whole roof rigid. Now when I was putting down the flooring, I ran noggins between the joists, so between each joist I put a cross piece of wood, and there's lines of them running down all the way underneath. Again, strengthen it, make it all nice secure. If we take a look over here, you can see I've dropped down these supports. So these are coming down from every rafter to the joist. These are 4x2s. I've ran a 4x2 along the ground that's screwed in to every joist. And then this upright is 4 screws into that piece of wood and again bolted into the rafter. Again, making it all nice and secure and nice and rigid. So in the eaves here and on the floor there was already insulation. It was this fiberglass wool type insulation. So what I done is I ran another layer of this, bringing it up to 8", which is the recommended thickness you need for insulation. So that's run on the side there. Then insulation for this attic space. I'm using 50mm thermal board, and that's going all the way around to insulate this space. I'm building a partition along here, and there'll be thermal board up there, and again the fiberglass running along the bottom there to try and keep the tank warm so it won't be affected by frost in the winter. So the attic space was already wired for power and lighting. So the lighting up here is going to be these LED strips, and you can see this area down here which I've already boarded. It's nice and bright. And I've also added some extra sockets over there on the chimney breast, so I've wired those in, so there's more power up here now should I need it. I've also taken the opportunity to run a couple of network cables as well. So I've ran network points down to the bedrooms underneath here. So once I've got the boarding finished, I'm not going to plaster it. I'm just going to tape the seams, paint over it, and just paint it all white. And then that will be the attic space, because it's only going to be used for me for storage and as my train room. And that's pretty much all the work I've done up here. You may notice over here there's a step. The reason for this is when they wired this house, they ran 2x1s all down, which they attached all the wiring to. So instead of ripping all that out, which would have affected the ceiling downstairs and caused a lot of mess, I just decided to run a few more 2x1s and just sit the flooring on top of that. With hindsight, I should have just ran it the whole length and had the flooring all one level, but at the time, this is what I thought of doing. So all the wiring is under there, so that saved having to do any rewiring and additional work. So that's how I've done my loft conversion. Still a bit more to do. Hopefully I have all this finished in a couple of weeks, and then I can get on with building the baseboards up here. This video is for information really. If you're going to do something like this, get proper advice to do it. I spoke to a lot of professionals. They said this is the best way to do it. So everything is bolted in and secure and should last for many years to come. So if you've got this far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for me. Like and share the video as well. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.